Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today we're going to be talking about a new show that premiered on Netflix, Midnight Mass. It's from Mike Flanagan, who's made some of our favorite shows on there, Bly Manor, Haunting a Hill House, did Dr. Sleep, also a fellow Towson University grad, so I always got to support him. So we just started it. We're about 4 episodes in. We thought we'd give our thoughts on the first 4 episodes and do the final couple episodes in another video. Because I'll be honest, I like binging stuff. But like I need a little bit of a break, so I wanted to maybe do the first half of the show and then the second half of the show. So these are going to be our thoughts on the first 4 episodes.
So after watching Hill House and Bly Manor, I was super excited for this one because those two, I felt like they were like sleeper shows for me that I heard that were really good, but we never checked them out. And then all of a sudden we just watched it. And I love the way Mike Flanagan, his direction, his storytelling, it is so intriguing, and I was just super excited where this new show is going to go.
Yeah, one of the things I really like about his style is it has almost like a level of like melancholy to it. Like it's almost like sad horror.
Yeah.
So it has like, it draws you in with the characters. Like the horror is important and it's a I of his shows, but his characters are always so well written.
Yes.
They're very relatable.
The dialogue.
Yeah, you root for these characters. So like Noelle said, we loved his first 2 shows. We even went down to Universal Horror Nights just to go through the Haunting a Hill House, which was amazing because he creates these worlds that you get so immersed in because they feel like a real small thing. They feel like a real place.
And you care about the characters that are in these stories.
Yeah, and I'll have to say this show is definitely no exception because in Midnight Mass it takes place on this small island called Crockett Island, and you're so invested in these characters. You feel like you're transported to this place. And part of it has to do with the set design. I know that they filmed this actually right outside Vancouver on like a small little fishing town community. And the sets, it looks real. It doesn't look like I'm watching a Hollywood production. It looks like a real small town with real people struggling to find hope in almost like a hopeless community.
Yeah. So right off the bat in the first episode, you are introduced to Riley Flynn, and it's graphic immediately. You're placed in the scene where you're seeing a car accident and a person that's struggling to cling to life. And this all starts off the whole story because he's the one that actually killed this woman. And it's kind of haunting him throughout his whole life. And he's gone from his town for 4 years because he has to do time. And then he is forced to kind of come back to where he grew up, you know, not really wanting to go back.
And that's one of the things that Mike Flanagan does really well in his shows is he creates a real life horror and then interjects supernatural elements on top of it.
Yeah.
Because like in Hill House, it was family drama, mental illness, and struggling, you know, economically and being trapped in that. And then the second one, you're dealing with, again, the same thing, sadness and loss and, you know, like love. There's a lot of these universal elements. And in this one, it's guilt. You know, it's the real idea of someone who has committed a horrible act and them being haunted by that and their idea of seeking redemption and how that changes fundamentally how you live. So I think he's able to interject these real life horrors of like killing someone in a drunk driving accident, someone dying like that, into adding these supernatural elements on top of that.
Yes. One of the most intriguing characters so far to me is Father Paul. He's introduced midway through the first episode. He's the new pastor that's coming to the town because their older pastor is fallen ill. And he is just so good.
Actor Hamish Linklater is phenomenal in this role. He is so unsettling, but then in a way he's almost charismatic.
Yes.
He becomes, as the show goes along, at least up until the 4th episode, he's like an anti-hero because he's someone who seems like he wants to do the right thing and he thinks he's helping people and helping this community, but he comes to grips with like his affliction and everything that's happens to him. Because we will go into a little bit of spoilers, like, because I think you have to on the show. So I'm going to say it right now. I'm going to say a spoiler. So if you haven't watched the show, you can click off, but if you have... So basically what happens with him is he is the older pastor that left.
Yes.
And he went to Egypt. He was seeking out, you know, the Holy Land. He was going around and he was attacked by a vampire who he saw as an angel. And then he's a vampire. So basically you're taking the story, which I love that. I love that about the show, that I went into it thinking it's going to be like Hill House or Bly Manor. We're going to have ghosts. We're going to have that. And it's a vampire show.
I know, and it's a completely different take on a vampire spin that I feel like we've never seen before.
Yeah, because it uses those universal elements of, you know, you can't be in the sunlight, you don't like, you know, religious fixtures as much and things like that, but it interjects it into this small town where it's seen as miracles. He's using his blood as a vampire instead of being like, oh, you know, he's a vampire, he's healing people with his blood. It's the blood of Christ. It's like an angel that's bestowing this blessing upon people. And I love that conflict that Mike Flanagan is able to create between religion and like the occult. Like it almost mixed together. You would think they'd be so opposed to each other, but in the show it goes hand in hand, and it also has a lot to say about religion and how it can be used negatively and how it can be used positively.
Yeah, so you see that throughout the whole show, because the townspeople, when he comes, they're starting to see miracles, and they're thinking, this is it.
Yeah.
This is happening. Like, we need to follow everything he's doing, even though it might not be right.
Yeah, because they've set the precedent pretty early in the show. This town is on dire straits. There was an oil spill that kind of killed a lot of the fish. It's a big fishing town. They can't really make money. They're all very poor. They've kind of lost faith in community and each other. And this new pastor coming in and creating these miracles, making people be able to walk again that couldn't walk, be able to heal the sick and heal the old and make them young again. It creates a very vibrant community. Everyone is so happy and together, but you have these dark underbelly to what's actually happening. And then I think it's interesting because it kind of talks to how religion can bring people together and make communities better and add hope where there's like darkness. Then religion can also be used in a way to kind of manipulate people and take power. And you see that with Bev, because while you have, Father Paul, who is a vampire, Bev is manipulating him in a way to not feel bad and to do bad things, because she, I think, at the end of the day, is the real villain in the story.
Yes, I feel
while
like
he's doing these horrible acts and bringing vampires and everything on the island, she's the one who's actually probably the worst monster of them all.
Yeah, because she's cleaning up his mess and basically telling people they kind of have to do it and follow, even including the mayor is sucked into this, and he really has no choice because she makes him feel guilty.
Yeah, and that's one of the interesting parts about it is I think that actress does a really solid job, because if you can make me just absolutely hate you as a character, like just hate that person, they're so horrible, that's a testament to how well they're acting. Because if you just don't care about them, like, oh, whatever, but I can't stand her. She's like on the level of some of the other characters that you've seen recently in film, like, King Joffrey or Ramses or something. You just absolutely hate them. You can't wait for them to fail, but they seem to always like slip through the cracks. So I'm interested to see how the rest of the series plays out.
I was really excited to see Kate Siegel return to the show because she was a big prominent character in Hill House, and I'm finding her character really interesting too. Her and Riley Flynn had like a connection like long ago when they were kids, and now they're back on the island together. And there's a lot of weird, interesting stuff happening between them. There's a lot of talk about death and life. And again, with this whole religious aspect throughout the show, that is like, it just brings a whole different look onto everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of big themes happening. This one deals a lot with religion, a lot with grief, loss, community. He's able to bring in a lot of interesting aspects to this one storyline. And I love how every individual character feels very fleshed out. They all feel like they have something to say and a mission that's going on throughout the story. For example, one of the characters, Sheriff Hassan, he is the new sheriff in town. He is a Muslim, and he's living in this very Christian community. And that conflict actually has a lot to say about, relations between religions. So even you have that character coming in, and it's interesting because it feels like now as the show's moved along, you have these kind of like sects of people. So you have the very religious Christian ones. You have him kind of out on his own. You have Riley, who has this kind of different relationship. Same with Aaron to the community. And he's able to set up these divisions in interesting ways. Like I said, there's a town hall, for one example, when they're talking about the use of the Bible in the school. Because now that these miracles are happening, everyone's becoming super religious, and they're making it almost like a fundamental Christian community. And it's kind of that conflict of who believes in these things, who thinks that these are miracles. Like he says, God doesn't do this. God doesn't save some people and kill some people. Everyone's equal. So it's like that idea of what is religion and what that means to people. So, I mean, it's really crazy how he's able to take this kind of horror show and speak on fundamental human nature.
Yeah, that's still going on.
Around the world.
Yeah, as we speak. So, and there's so much more to this show that Brian and I can't even like touch on, because I feel like we even missed some things, because that's another thing with Mike Flanagan. He includes so much in a show, and like you could just miss something in a split second, and you rewatching, you'll notice something different. Yeah,
that's one thing. Once we finish it, I probably revisit it like a month from now. We rewatched Hill House, Bly Manor. All the performances are so solid that I think it'll really hold up, and I really can't wait to see how the rest of the story goes. At the end of the 4th episode, you do see that the vampire, you fully know the vampire's on the island. You kind of knew he was there because he brought him with him from Egypt. But then the vampire attacks the main character, and you're like, how is this going to play out?
I also thought that was a really cool filming style when it was from the vampire and he's flying over the island, and the camera view was from the vampire's point of view.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't see that much in shows or anything like that.
There's a good use of cinematography in the show, too. And apparently the production was just plagued with issues because of the pandemic. They started filming it. They had to leave behind these sets in, kind of a very turbulent area to have sets out in the coastal areas of Canada. So I think it's interesting that it came together the way it did.
So we are very excited to check out the last 3 episodes, and we'll definitely make another video. But we want to know what your thoughts are on the show. How does it compare to Hill House or Bly Manor? Did it treat you as much?
Yeah, and who are your favorite characters? There's a lot of different characters. So I feel like even in the previous 2 series that he did, I think everyone feels differently. You can relate to a different character in a different way. So I'd like to hear what your favorite characters are on the show.
Yeah. So remember to like and subscribe. We always appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time. Bye.